How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, as always, Hicksydust, here with some more Jurassic World Evolution content for the channel. This should be my third video featuring Jurassic World Evolution 2, and this video should serve as a sequel to my previous video where I unveiled my creation, Jurassic World Arizona, a massive park featuring land-based dinosaurs and Jurassic tours. Now, I did not have time in my previous video to break down the individual enclosures, so I will be doing that in today's video. I'll be showing you all the dinosaurs I selected for this park and giving you little historical facts about each of them. I hope you guys enjoy. Alright everybody, we will be going over the dinosaurs in order you would see them if you were to take on the Jurassic tour. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking from this point on, so please bear with me. The first dinosaur on this list will be the Chasmosaurus. Chasmosaurus is part of the ceratopsid species of dinosaur, which means that it is cousins to the more famous Triceratops, Styracosaurus, and Torosaurus, just to name a few. Chasmosaurus is one of my favorites of this species of dinosaur, notably for the shield-like crest which sits atop its head. This magnificent head sculpt helps give the Chasmosaur a unique look, and is one of the reasons it's at the top of my favorite dinosaurs, at least as far as Jurassic World Evolution is concerned. Okay, if we zoom on over to the next part of the tour, you will see another two herbivore species, starting with the Polecanthus. Polecanthus is an ankylosaurid species of dinosaur. Although it doesn't feature a club-like tail like one of its more famous cousins, it's covered in a thick carapace-like armor which is protected on all sides by spikes that jettison all around its torso. Also in the same enclosure we have Gallimimus. Gallimimus translates to chicken mimic and was featured in the first ever Jurassic Park film, being hunted by the ferocious Tyrannosaurus Rex. In the next enclosure, we have the Parasaurolophus and the Brachiosaur, two of the most iconic herbivores in the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchises. These two herbivores fit together nicely in this enclosure as they both enjoy the same diet, feasting mostly upon tree nuts. Brachiosaur and Parasaurolophus's iconic look help make it a staple in the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchises. Here we have the Jurassic Park gate, which has been modified to fit the Jurassic World theme. This gate unofficially signals the beginning of the tour as it takes you to the first enclosure that is outside of the main park. In this enclosure we have a communal herd of herbivores, which feature the likes of the Edmontosaurus, a hadrosaur or duck-billed dinosaur, named for the location in which it was discovered, Edmonton, near the capital of Alberta, Canada, although other fossils have been found in the northern US. In this game, Edmontosaurus has a colorful facial pattern which helps set it apart from other hadrosaurs in this game. Also, we feature the Ornithomimus, a cousin of the aforementioned Gallimimus. This dinosaur features more of a beak-type mouth and is a prime example of dinosaurs being more closely related to modern-day birds than reptiles. If you take a close look at this dinosaur's movements, you might see similarities between modern-day ostriches and emus. This enclosure also features the iconic Ankylosaurus. The Ankylosaurus featured a club-like tail which it would use to fend off predators. This specimen looks a little bumpy to me. Here we have the Dracorex, a specimen of Pachycephalosaurus dinosaur who featured a more elaborate ornamentation on its skull. The name Dracorex means Dragon King, and the only known specimen of Dracorex was named Hogwartsia in honor of Hogwarts, the famous school for wizards. Lastly, this enclosure features the magnificent Dreadnoughtus. Dreadnoughtus is named after the Dreadnought battleship, and its name means fears nothing. The Dreadnoughtus was believed to be the largest land animal to ever walk the face of the earth. The next pod over features fellow sauropod Mamenchisaurus, who was featured in Jurassic Park 2: The Lost World. And while most sauropod feature a long neck, Mamenchisaurus was believed to have been half its entire body length. Transitioning from one of the largest to one of the smallest, we have Minmi paravertebra, a small ankylosaurid dinosaur from Cretaceous Australia. Minmi gets its name from the horizontally oriented plates which run up and down its vertebra, giving it its name Minmi paravertebra. Minmi was one of the smallest species of ankylosaurid dinosaur to be discovered. Here we have the Maiasaura, or the Good Mother Lizard as its name translates. This hadrosaur gets its name because it was originally discovered in what was believed to have been a nesting colony. It is theorized that Maiasaura would have lived comfortably in large herds and protected its young from scavengers like the Troodon. The final dinosaur in this exhibit is the Stygimoloch, a pachycephalosaurid dinosaur from Hells Creek Formation, Montana. This dinosaur was featured in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, had a Funko Pop based on its design, and even cracked my top 10 dinosaurs list from Jurassic World Evolution 1, a video I will tag at the end of this one. In conclusion, Stygimoloch is one of the most adorable models in this game's library. Transitioning to the next pen, we have our first all-carnivore enclosure featuring the Allosaur and the Ceratosaurus, respectively. The Allosaur, whose name translates to strange or different lizard, is one of the most well-studied dinosaurs given the abundant amount of fossils that have been unearthed. Given the amount of fossils which have been unearthed in one area, it has been theorized as to whether or not Allosaurus was a solitary hunter, small pack hunter, or at the very least, feasted on large corpses together. Paired with the Ceratosaurus, a smaller cousin to the T-Rex who features a horn on his nose, this horn would have been theorized by me to have been used during hunting or combat, but is more theorized as to whether or not it was used during mating season. It is theorized that Ceratosaurus' horn could change color to attract a mate, and his primary feeding habit would have been the Stegosaurus. Transitioning from one horned dinosaur to the next, we have Carnotaurus, a hunter from South America. Carnotaurus is one of the most well understood hunters of the Southern Hemisphere, and it has been studied from a single well-preserved fossil. The horns upon Carnotaurus' head have led paleontologists to believe that it would have fought with rivals the same way pachycephalosaurid dinosaurs do, by bumping heads. Here we have the Madagascan hunter Majungasaurus, an other well-known or well-studied dinosaur from the Southern Hemisphere. This dinosaur featured a smooth top skull and a single horn, which tricked paleontologists into mislabeling this dinosaur as a Pachycephalosaurus. This dinosaur is also one of the most well-documented species to have participated in cannibalism. From here, the tour route curves around the park entrance and features 4 herbivore species divided between 2 pens. In this enclosure, you will find the Homalocephalae, a small pachycephalosaurid dinosaur who would roam what is now known as Mongolia today. The Dryosaur, a small herbivore that was discovered on the western coast of the US, and was even theorized to have cheek-like structures to store food like modern-day chipmunks. The Chungkingosaurus, a small stegosaur who roamed what is now known as China, and the Iguanodon, who featured a large thumb spike, which could have been used to help forage for food, as well as fend off predators. The next exhibit over features a mid-sized theropod, the Monolophosaurus, which was discovered in Xinjiang, China, and who's named after the single crest which rests upon its head. The Monolophosaurus was introduced in Jurassic Park's Netflix series Camp Cretaceous, and in this game designers gave it a colorful facial pattern which to me resembles modern-day toucans. Next we have another communal herbivore pod, which includes fellow Chinese dinosaur Sinoceratops. Sinoceratops translates to Chinese hornface and was discovered from Zhucheng, China. Its discovery was significant because not only is Sinoceratops one of the largest ceratopsid dinosaurs to be discovered, it was the first to be discovered not in North America, where all other ceratopsid and chasmosaurian fossils were discovered, with the exception of Tyrannoceratops, who was discovered in Uzbekistan. Sinoceratops is one of my favorite designs for the ceratopsid dinosaurs and always features two large holes in its frills. We also have the Muttaburrasaurus, a genus of iguanodon who lived in northeastern Australia. After the Coonbarasaurus, it is Australia's most completely known dinosaur from skeletal remains and is named after Muttaburra, the site in which it was discovered. Next we have the Amargasaurus, a sauropod dinosaur which was believed to have lived in what is now modern-day Argentina. The only known skeleton was discovered in 1984 and was virtually complete, including a fragmented skull. The most distinguishing feature of Amargasaur were the rows of spikes which appear to protrude down its neck and back, despite most likely sticking out of the body as solitary structures which would have supported a keratin sheath. A less popular theory is that these spikes supported some kind of skin sail that might have been used for display or defensive purposes. The final dinosaur we have display in this enclosure is the Crichtonsaurus, an ankylosaur species which was discovered in what is now modern-day China. The dinosaur was named after author Michael J. Crichton, the author of the Jurassic Park novel, and features smoother side plates than that of the Polecanthus, the first ankylosaur species we showed off on the tour. It also has a small club for defense and kind of looks like a turtle from this angle. On the next enclosure, we have the Carcharodontosaurus, which translates to shark-toothed dinosaur. The Carcharodontosaurus' size would rival that of other theropods, Tyrannosaur, Giganotosaurus, and even Spinosaurus. Carcharodontosaurus features jagged shark-like teeth and a bit of a tragic backstory. Its original remains were destroyed in a bombing raid in World War II. However, during a dig in Morocco in 1995, a brand new set of fossils were unearthed. I really wanted to do something different with this dinosaur's enclosure environment-wise, so I decided to make a giant valley in this enclosure, something that would be aesthetically pleasing and maybe a change of pace on the tour ride. I'm actually pretty proud of the way this came out with a swampy river going down the middle of the valley enclosure. This enclosure is unofficially named Carcharodontosaurus Valley. This next exhibit will be the final communal herbivore enclosure on the tour, one which features the Camarasaurus, one of the smaller species of sauropod in the game. The Camarasaurus is the most common sauropod fossil to be found across all of North America, and its name means the chambered lizard, which references the hollow chambers known as pleurocells in its cervical vertebrae. Camarasaurus fossils have been discovered all the way from the late 1800s and all the way up to 2005. A skull of Camarasaurus preserves better than some of the others of the same genus, namely the Diplodocus, which has been known to have been found in the same formation. The next dinosaur to be featured in this enclosure would be the Werosaurus, a species of stegosaur dinosaur the main difference being the shape of the back plates. Werosaurus's plates are smooth versus the diamond-shaped plates of the Stegosaurus. Werosaurus was discovered in China and was believed to have been the last generation of stegosaurid dinosaurs to roam the Earth. Here we have the Pachycephalosaurus, which means thick-headed lizard. Pachycephalosaurus was featured again in Jurassic Park: The Lost World, and whose fossils were found spread across Wyoming, South Dakota, Montana, and Alberta. Fun fact, all the different species of Pachycephalosaurid dinosaurs are theorized to be different growth stages rather than actual species of dinosaur. Here we have the Ouranosaurus, whose name most accurately translates to brave lizard. It was debated that this dinosaur was originally a relative of the iguanodon, but was later reclassified as a hadrosaur. It is debated whether or not the back of the Ouranosaur was a sail similar to the Spinosaur, which we see in this specimen, or a camel-like hump on the back, which we see on this specimen used to save water. The next enclosure I have called Acrocanthosaurus barons, as we feature the Acrocanthosaurus. The Acrocanthosaurus name translates to high fin lizard. The Acrocanthosaurus is best known for having a high ridge of spines across its vertebrae, which most likely helps support a row of thick muscle over the animal's neck, back, and hips. This dinosaur was discovered in states Texas, Wyoming, and Oklahoma, and even as far east as Maryland. For this, I have decided to give this dinosaur a row of cacti to help it feel more at home in a desert-like environment. The next enclosure I have for you is called the Piscivore Lagoon, which features two piscivore species, Baryonyx and Suchomimus. Originally, this enclosure was set to be divided by the gyrosphere track in two separate sections to divide the Baryonyx Lagoon and Suchomimus Swamp. However, since the two specimens can coexist peacefully, I decided to just make it one large enclosure with water and feeders on both sides of the enclosure so they could be seen equally from truck or gyrosphere route. Baryonyx means heavy claw, which references the large claw on the hand of a Baryonyx, whereas Suchomimus means crocodile mimic. Suchomimus' long skull resembling that of a modern-day crocodile. Baryonyx was featured in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, whereas Suchomimus was originally planned to be an exhibit at the original Jurassic Park. Its genome was about 75% complete or extracted before the original park fell into ruin. Baryonyx was believed to have been slightly larger than that of a Carnotaurus, and Suchomimus was believed to be just shy of the height of a T-Rex. Both species of dinosaur are classified in the Spinosaurid family of dinosaurs. Baryonyx was found in fossil formations in parts of England, whereas Suchomimus would have lived primarily in parts of Africa. As originally intended, this enclosure was going to be divided between the two species with parts of fencing or decoration lined between the trees. However, I decided to label this all one giant exhibit, and so here we have Piscivore Lagoon. The final enclosure, which can be seen from the truck tour route, is that of the Deinonychus dunes. Deinonychus is one of my favorite carnivore species in the game, and I wanted to give it a special type of enclosure. So this enclosure, I decided to make a sandy dune type pit for the Deinonychus to run around in. Deinonychus is one of my favorites because of how it was used. Most of the facts that were attributed to the Velociraptor in the Jurassic Park franchise were taken from this dinosaur. Deinonychus was the appropriate size, whereas the Velociraptors would have been about half its size. So why not just use the Deinonychus? Well, I guess Velociraptor just sounded better when creating the story. Deinonychus fossils can be found all over Utah, Montana, Oklahoma, Wyoming, and like the Acrocanthosaurus, as far-reaching east as Maryland. Deinonychus translates to terrible claw and refers to the large sickle-like talon on the hind foot of the Deinonychus. Deinonychus' discovery helped change the perception of dinosaurs from being large lumbering giants to smaller, agile hunters. Deinonychus was one of the prime examples of modern-day dinosaur theory and was most likely covered in feathers. Through this enclosure, we wrap up once more with the Chasmosaur enclosure, and we end the tour. The gyrosphere track takes you into some of the enclosures that the truck tour does not, namely some of the larger carnivores, the Spinosaurus, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, who has been known to wreak havoc on Jurassic Park tours in the past, the Giganotosaurus, who rivals both sauropods in ferocity and size, and the Dilophosaurus, who was known to spit venom at its prey, which could help render its prey blind and helpless. We wouldn't want a Dilophosaurus blinding our prey on the tour ride. So the gyrosphere just made the most logical sense as you're encased in bulletproof glass. And of course we have the Coelophysis, whose enclosure was just too small to allow the truck to fit through. This small scavenger could have easily been found under the wheel of the Jurassic Tourist truck. So to help preserve the safety of this species and the guests, we just decided to keep them separate. And lastly, we have the Troodon, who, if you watched my previous video, know that the Troodon's toxic bite rivals that of modern-day Komodo dragons. So therefore, we kept this species locked up in the secure facilities to be studied and monitored. Now that we've shown you all the exhibits here at Jurassic World Arizona, we just have one question left for you. Which dinosaur was your favorite? Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video almost as much as I enjoyed making this video. This video was very informative and it took a lot of hours of planning, and even just making the park took a long time. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you guys were thoroughly impressed and want to stay up to date on all Hicksydust content, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Here I have the Twitter for Hicksydust-Gaming, where you can tweet me out ideas you want to see on the channel. And we also have an Instagram where I like to post updates and thumbnails for all the videos. As always guys, keep your eyes to the horizons for more content and enjoy your day.